Hello, everybody. This is the RE Leaders Lab, Katie's overview for the month of January. The theme is Finding Our Center, and that would be January 2023. The only announcement I have is I hope that you are having a good December and your Wonder theme, and I hope you have a good New Year coming up. And the Finding Our Center is particularly appropriate to DREs working really hard and religious educators of all kinds working really hard in the holiday season and then needing to find our center and take a little break. That's the theme of the very first of the 5 January sessions that we put in the packet. That January 1st Sunday, we recommend, and so do the experienced DREs who I do the brainstorm lab with, that you take a little bit of time, make it very simple, and maybe don't even show up. Anyway, that's the first one. But we do have a little, one of my favorite New Year's things for finding your center. I would say do a star apple, find your center and find what your own starry center is inside the apple. Now, a little bit of trick is that sometimes you cut an apple and the star doesn't show. So, and also if you want to cut it in advance of your little for all ages or whatever you're going to do, I stick it in lemon juice so it doesn't get brown. There's our starry centers for finding your center for New Year's Day. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we came up with the idea of having classic children games through the whole month of January so that it keeps the momentum up. It's fun. The kids know that they're going to be playing games in RE. So the session B, the ever-changing principles. As you may know, this is the Article 2 Commission that's happening in our national UUA movement. And what we thought would be good would be to think about with the children, what is at the center of our faith? What values are at the center of our faith? And so just as the Article 2 Commission has been inviting us to do through the UUA, we invite the children to brainstorm what values are at the center of their faith and what might it look like when they talk about making a church and a statement for the principles. I just thought I'd share the story. I had the privilege of working with Reverend Walter Royal Jones Jr. back in 1983, when I was first hired as a DRE. He was the president or the chair of the Principles Commission in 1984 that came up with our 7 purposes and principles. So every time I hear those, I hear Roy's language and his beautiful elocution. The circle games that we suggest you play are games that have a circle, just like we have something in the center of our faith. And they are Duck, Duck, Goose, Farmer in the Dell, and Spill the Basket, and Footloose. Those are classic games to play about being in the center of our faith. The third session, session C, happens to be in the center of the month, and it is the center of putting racial justice at our center, Martin Luther King weekend. I wanted to lift up the Me I Choose to Be, beautiful, beautiful pictures of Black and brown children in our efforts to decenter whiteness. I also wanted to lift up the video. It's a PBS documentary. It's only 8 minutes, I believe. And it's called Children Who Marched for Equal Rights. It's about the Children's March, but it's also about children who come in from Chicago on a bus to Birmingham and visit these sites in modern day. Pretty amazing story. I shared it with my grandchildren and they were awed. The classic children's game that we suggest for that session is a beanbag toss, because working for racial justice is hard. And just getting that beanbag into the trash can or the bucket or whatever you want to use is hard. But what if you need to make it harder? Make it blindfold, turn your back on it, have to throw it over your shoulder. It's a good metaphor for how hard it is to work for justice. Then session D, making choices to find your center. So the classic children's game that that session is based on is the classic cootie catcher, also known as a fortune teller. And we have suggestions for what to put in to see what choices you're going to make. I love the classic children's culture and always find reasons to use them. This might be a good place to point out that I set my classic games books out. Junkyard Sports is a great one. Just ways to play with children, because play is the children's work, isn't it? The last one is keep your balance for finding your center. And there's a fascinating story about Pedro Flores. He was the yo-yo maker who popularized that play in the 50s and 60s. And we suggest spinning games. And then there's another way to keep your balance. And it's something I used to do with the children every early January or sometime in January, was to declutter. To find your balance, you need to declutter. Sort of echoes of that KonMari tidying up phenomenon. So I'd get all the baskets of markers, which people have been throwing back their dead markers in there all year, all half year long, and all the stuff, the construction paper that was now mixed in every which way, and ask the children to help us stay centered and throw the dead markers out, reorganize the construction paper, wrap the yarn that's now all tangled. It's just a nice way to keep your balance and find your center. So that's the overview from sitting in my chair. I wish you the best again, holidays, and I have a little quote for you. This is from Empedocles, the Greek philosopher, 492 to 432 BC. The nature of God is a circle, of which the circle is everywhere, of which the center is everywhere, and the circumference is nowhere. Find your center for January. My best wishes for you. Bye-bye.